desire, and to really experience a sense of freedom, of choice, and peace, and especially right now. And so we're going to have this conversation today. For any of you that are new to me, I'm a transformational mentor and growth strategist. And if you're here live, say hello in the chat. Let me know that you're here, and I'll give you a shout out. And if you are on the replay, hit #replay. And so this is really cool. Last night, I don't know if any of you have ever watched this movie. It is one of my absolute favorite movies, documentary. It's a movie, but it's based on a true story, based on someone's life. And it's called Peaceful Warrior. And highly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. I just bought it. I had it on DVD, but I don't have a DVD player in every room. So go figure. We're streaming now, right? So I watch it like once a year, minimally. And every time I watch it, I hear it differently. I experience it newly. And sure enough, I was able to hear the words and the message in even a more clear, more acute way. And one of the phrases or one of the lines in the movie is, and just to give you a little bit of context, Dan is the kind of the student, and then Socrates, his nickname in the movie, Socrates, is the mentor. And so Dan is struggling. He is very egoic. He is, like one of the top gymnasts in the country, I believe, and extremely talented and extremely driven, somewhat to a destructive level. But he believes that, that he's, it's almost like he has to be this driven. He has to have it this way. He has to do it this way, in order to get to where he wants to go, which is the Olympic gold. And so there is it's an unfolding of the way that we, express our, it's almost like how we approach our desires and our goals and such. And if we're high achieving, which is, I can relate to, there are moments where it becomes so attached, like there's so many attachments that if one thing falls out, right? If one thing falls out, then you suffer, and you watch him go through that roller coaster and that suffering. And I feel like a lot of things that we're dealing with right now, if not always, there's levels of suffering that we go through, whether it's just, a sense of unhappiness or unrest in our souls, and we're not getting to where we want to go in our business or our relationships or what have you. And I believe there's something we have to let go of. And so in the movie, this is the line: "It's you, isn't it? You're the one I have to let go of." And I'm going to encourage you to watch the movie so that you listen, find that line. It's very, very prominent. It's kind of towards the end, so you got to watch through the whole movie, and it's so powerful the way it's displayed, and I know that what that is the egoic self. And so if you are struggling to get to where you want to be, if you're, you've got a lot of fear going on, or you're feeling out of sorts or just not connected, there's something that needs to be let go of. And we have to identify first, what is it that you really want? Where are you trying to go? And then on the flip side, you have to identify what you have to let go of in order to have it. And so much of it is simply a sense of surrender. And I actually wrote more notes based on where I am today as I was watching this movie. Again, I've watched it for probably 10 times, right? And it's amazing to watch how I've evolved as I've seen it, right? And so this is the thing. It's like when we identify what we want, I think the part that we forget to look at is, what do we have to let go of in order to have it? What do we have to surrender in order to have that? And a lot of it is knowing where we're going, knowing how to get there, and figuring it all out. I don't know if you can relate, but a lot of times we're paralyzed by perfectionism. We're paralyzed by, or at least we're hanging out in procrastination. And thank you. Hey, welcome. And that perfectionism and that procrastination is probably wrapped around something like, I need to know what next steps are in order to make that step happen. And so part of being a brave master is not knowing. And that is a practice. You have to be a practitioner of life, not just a student of life. You have to be a practitioner of life, not just a student. And you can read all the books, you can watch all the movies, you can see all the documentaries, and until you put it into practice, you won't experience what you need to experience necessarily. So once we identify what we have to let go of, and it could be an ideology, it can be a place, it can be a thing, it can be a person, it can be a belief, it can be all of these different aspects of our egoic self that we create these constructs, we create the attachments to these things to feel safe, to feel like we know something and be in that sense of control, right? And so especially what we're dealing with in the world right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's it's like, just even we walk around and we're wearing masks, and it's like every time you see a mask, there might be a seed planted of fear, of doubt, of unknowing. And then it triggers the egoic self going, what do I do with this information? How do I manage this? Right. And so I think a lot of us are on a big roller coaster of emotions. And unless we're conscious and aware, then we don't really know that that's going on underneath the surface. It's the riptide that's underneath the wave, right? And so we want to make sure that we are bringing all that to our consciousness and awareness, so that we actually have a little more a little more sense of control, even though we're not ever really in control, are we? So if you identify what you really want, and then you identify what you have to let go of, and truly what we ultimately have to let go of is the ego. And once we do that, we take brave action, but from an inspired place, from a not knowing place, from a just tell me what to do next. Right? Just what's right in front of me, versus trying to plan for the next year, trying to, figure out what's going to happen in 6 months. None of us know, actually, right? Like, there really is just an unfolding, and we got to get really comfortable with that unfolding. And every day that passes is one more day we're here to experience life the way that we want to experience it. And you're in charge of that. And so it was interesting. I had a conversation with a friend of my daughter's, and we talked for like an hour. And at the end, I said, "What's your takeaway with this conversation?" And she said, "I have something to say about how my life shows up." And I was like, wow, right? I'm like, if you can get that now, she's 15 years old, then you are in the right space. You're in the right flow, girlfriend. And sure enough, that's true for all of us. We have something to say about how our life shows up. And what I mean by that is that we generate the experience of whatever is happening. And so as long as we're practicing and, that awareness, that consciousness on a daily basis, then we have something to say about it, right? And, if we keep focusing on all the things that we don't have necessarily control over, or have, even if something is happening circumstantially, which there is right now, our ability to look at it and perceive it and to choose a new response, right? And to step out of reaction is what's in our power. And so I think the thing is when we let go of that egoic self, then we actually step into our personal power. And what the ego wants us to believe is that it's the other way around, is that if ego stays in play, if ego stays in charge, then I'm in power, right? I have all the power I need. And that's the illusion. That's the falsity. So So I would encourage you today to just practice being present in the now. That's all that matters, right? Stop worrying about tomorrow. Stop worrying about a month from now. Just be present as possible in the now, and then just really look at what it is that you're creating, what it is that you desire, and be unattached to the outcome. It's almost like I wrote this one time where I said, be more, I forget exactly what I wrote, but be more in love with your daydream than the evidence of it. And what I meant by that is, when we can envision what we desire and what we want, be in love with that. It's like, embrace that, and yet be unattached of whether you ever get it or not, or the evidence shows up that you have it, right? Because then that just puts another tether, another attachment in place, and we suffer when we don't get it. And, and it's funny, another line from that movie, I'll just go ahead and I wrote them down, is what the mentor was saying was, when you don't get what you want, you suffer. Even when you get exactly what you want, you still suffer, because you can't hold on to it forever. Now, how big is that, right? And so when we can start to be present in the now, and we can start to obviously be grateful for where we are in the moment, then the attachment to it staying in place and staying exactly as it is can be diminished, right? So I just encourage you to take action today in the space of not knowing, right? Be willing to do something in alignment. Take action that you want or desire, and do it in as bravely as you can. Even if you don't know how it's going to turn out, even if you don't have evidence that it's going to work, or if that it's going to matter, or that it's going to make any difference, and you just do it because you're inspired to do it, right? Whether it's to show up online and speak for the first time, or whether it's to respond to a loved one in a different way than you have in the last week, right? Or just to give yourself a little more grace, or to, maybe you've said for months and months, it's like, wow, I really need to, start eating healthier, or meditating, or something self-care, and you keep putting it off. And it's because the ego's like, we don't need that. I've got you. I'm going to take care of you, right? And it's this internal conflict that we're always in. So I just encourage you to take that brave action. All right, so that's my message for you today, is get clear on what you want, but more importantly, identify clearly what you need to let go of. And usually the answer to that is anything egoic. And I have a quiz. I don't know if you've taken it yet. A lot of people have taken this quiz, and it's really magical to see the results that they're getting, or just the awareness that they're getting. And if you haven't taken it, let me put the link up here on the screen. Here we go. And it's a free quiz, and it'll just show you and kind of give you an insight into what is your go-to egoic behaviors. Because once you know, oh, that's what I do egoically, then you can identify what you need to let go of and surrender, right? You can surrender it up. And so bravemasters.com/quiz, very simple. And it's really, really insightful. It comes on the back end of that. There's a quick tutorial video about that specific egoic archetype, and some downloads and resources and such that you can take advantage of. So I would love to know what yours is. And mine is the realist. That's my primary. And secondary is the rebel. And so the other two are the illusionist or the martyr. So you want to find out what those are, and then you'll over the tutorial, et cetera, it'll give you some insight into what to do about that. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Today, I encourage you, your truth and dare is to be truthful about where you are and what you need to let go of. And then your dare is to take an action in alignment to where you want to be, and do it bravely. So I'll talk to you soon. Let's go get our brave on, and I'll see you on